Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our program tonight. I'm going to wait till we get a few more people here in the chat room. I would like everyone to give me a 5x5 to let me know how we're doing tonight on the air with visual and voice communication here on YouTube tonight. I want to welcome everybody here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Tonight is Emergency Preparedness Night. We have a lot of things to talk about tonight. This night, we have a lot of things. Now, folks, my name's Ron Tyler. I am the president of Emergency Management Associates. I've been doing emergency broadcasts for approximately 5+ years now. I want to welcome everybody here. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Thank you all for being here. George Rashad was on the broadcast a minute ago, but for some reason YouTube screwed it up and we had to restart the broadcast. So we appreciate you all here tonight. We've had some issues here we wanted to address, but I want to bring you the latest information that we have in regards to things that are happening. I've been going through a lot of information all day today, literally. I'm ready to impart information to you tonight. I would ask all of you to think about it, to very seriously think about what we're talking about. Now, yesterday, Russia started out on a supposed missile launch test, okay? Conducted primarily off the coast of San Diego and Los Angeles. As you can see from this map here, it goes from San Diego south along the coast of Baja, Mexico, all the way out into the Pacific, approximately 12+ miles off the coast. Russia has said that they will stay out in international waters. The United States recognizes a 12-mile limit off the coast of the United States and off the coast of every country worldwide. I want you to think about this map as I explain what's going on. This is important. This is very, very important. Okay? Again, this map goes from down the coast of Baja, California, to possibly down south to Ensenada, Baja, California, Mexico, all the way up into Los Angeles, and off the coast 12 miles out into the Pacific Ocean to the international territorial waters of the United States. Now, given that, please watch what I have to say tonight. This is important. I've done a lot of research. I've contacted the Department of Defense. I've gone through all kinds of heck trying to put together information, and in some cases even being lied about. Okay? They don't want us to have this information, so it's very apparent with what I've already found out. Okay? A lot of different YouTube channels have already been putting out information about the Russian missile/rocket firing. What I have found out is not pleasing. Okay? It's just not. What I found out is rather makes me feel very uneasy knowing what we know. Okay? Now, with that said, the Russian Federation, the USSR, has been tempting us with overflights of Russian Big Bear bombers. Okay? This is different from that. Russia has been tempting the United States to go to war for a very long time, flying Bear bomber missions off the coast of Alaska, and the United States Army and Air Force driving those Big Bear bombers escorted by Russian fighters off our territory, out further out into the Pacific, away from mainland United States. The Russian Federation today, starting yesterday, plans to conduct rocket firings in the area of the Oakland Air Traffic Control District area. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. The Russian Federation plans are to conduct rocket firings into the area around the Oakland Air Traffic Control area, and there is a risk. The FAA right now will not clear instrument flight rules. Again, the Federal Aviation Administration will not clear instrument flight rules for aircraft in the Southern California area and even off the coast into Northern California either. They will not clear instrument flight rules, IFR. Okay? It will only be visual flight rules. Only visual flight rules. Okay? Anywhere in Southern California out to 12 miles off the coast. Okay? Aircraft must be flying under visual flight rules. Okay, this started yesterday. According to a since removed notice filed with the FAA, Rush is conducting rocket firings off the coast of San Diego. Several NOTAM messages, notice to air missions. Okay, these NOTAM messages go out to all aircraft pilots, commercial and military. Okay, NOTAM messages. These have been issued for the coast of Southern California and flights between North America, Hawaii, alerting pilots of Russian Federation rocket launches beginning yesterday and continuing through Sunday, May 26. The impact area is set to occur less than 300 nautical miles from the shoreline in international waters off the coast of Southern California and northern Baja California, Mexico. Okay? I've got the NOTAM message. It is small. I could not enlarge it, but I'm passing this information on to you. Most of the information from the original NOTAM message would not be very visible to anybody that does not fly at all. So I'm not going to show you that. The NOTAMs have been issued to alert pilots of the rocket launches. This is standard procedure for any military activity that could potentially affect civilian airspace. NOTAM messages serve to ensure the safety of civilian air traffic by providing timely information about potential hazards. Okay? Now, to back up the United States military. For several years now, the USS Abraham Lincoln has been stationed off the coast of San Diego. The headquarters for the Lincoln has been the Coronado Naval Air Station. Okay? The U.S. Abraham Lincoln is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The USS Abraham Lincoln is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The Abraham Lincoln is conducting integrated exercises to bolster strike group readiness and capability off the coast of San Diego. The presence of the Lincoln, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, conducting integrated exercises in the area adds one more layer of complexity to the situation. It's not just the Lincoln. Any U.S. aircraft carrier has its own fleet that goes out to sea with it. Okay? It's got its own escort fleet, including surface-to-air missile launch ships, as well as destroyers and other military ships in the area. The Abraham Lincoln is not the only ship out there. Though that fleet of ships accompanying the Lincoln is going to be spread out over a local area, helping one to protect the Lincoln and also to detect other inbound missiles from Russia. Okay? We don't believe there is a civilian alert to go out right now. We don't believe this is very serious, otherwise it would be across all media, including under the weather station radios all around the country. Okay? The military is on the prowl, and it's not just the Navy. The United States Air Force, coming from El Segundo El Segundo Air Force Station in Los Angeles, is also on alert. And they will also be assisting the Nimitz not the Nimitz, but the Lincoln and other military ships and aircraft in the area. Okay? They're going to conduct these aircraft and military exercises in the same area where the Russian ships and missiles are supposed to be located. These exercises serve as a response to or a preparation for potential threats by the Russian military exercise. The Abraham Lincoln is a flagship of Carrier Strike Force 3. Strike Force Group 3 is underway conducting this integrated exercise to bolster the strike group readiness and the capability of the United States Third Fleet in the area of operations. That's according to the Pentagon message that I got today. While such area exercises are common among nations with advanced military capabilities, they're often conducted to maintain readiness and test equipment and showcase strength. There have not been any confirmed instances of Russia conducting live fire rocket tests directly off the coast of the United States so far. Again, I'm going to repeat this. There have not been any confirmed instances of Russia conducting live fire rocket tests directly off the coast of San Diego or the United States. In August 2023, a Russia-Chinese naval formation made up of 11 ships conducted joint naval drills off the coast of Alaska, resulting in U.S. government shadowing the fleet with its own military equipment, i.e. aircraft and naval ships in the area around Alaska. Although Russia's conducted military exercises and tests in various locations around the world, including close to the coastlines of other countries, such as European nations, the United States and its territories have not been typical locations for such activities. As of about 4 years ago, the United States Navy has located 2 aircraft carrier task force off the East Coast and 2 naval aircraft carrier task force off the West Coast of the United States. We are ready. We are ready for whatever happens. But I want to make sure that all of you understand what's going on. Okay? I don't want it to come from any other YouTube influencer or anything else. I wanted to give you the lowdown on it myself. This area task force exercise is taking place off the coast of San Diego, north up into Southern California, Los Angeles area, and down the coast, down towards Ensenada, Baja California, Mexico. This is making it a provocative choice for Russia. It's worth noting that these exercises are occurring in international waters 12 miles off the coast of the United States, beyond the territorial jurisdiction of any single nation. This proximity could be seen as a deliberate message or a show of force by Russia. The proximity of this drill could be seen as a deliberate message or a show forced by Russia, especially given the historical context of tensions right now between the U.S. and Russia. Now, we contacted the Oakland Air Traffic Control area that is supervising what is going on with civilian aircraft. Oakland ATC is where everything goes right now. Yes, there are other air traffic control areas, including Miramar and Los Angeles. But like I said, right now, Oakland ATC is in charge of this. Okay? They have directed one of the associated NOTAM messages to be put out. And we were told to reach out to the Federal Aviation Administration as well. Subsequently, we were directed to the U.S. Department of Defense. So I called over to my contacts at Naval Station San Diego and Naval Station Coronado, also in San Diego, just off the coast, at Coronado Naval Air Station. The duty officer of Defense Press Operations for the Office of the Secretary of Defense initially responded, referring us back to the FAA for any further comment. Isn't it interesting how one department of the U.S. refers us to another, and back and forth? But again, I contacted my contacts at Naval Station San Diego and Naval Station Coronado. They have no comment, other than to say the USS Abraham Lincoln and its associated task force are off the coast of San Diego right now. The publication of this NOTAM message that went out yesterday has been removed from the Defense Department's Internet NOTAM service. The publication of the NOTAM message has been removed from the Department of Defense website. Okay? It's as if they don't want anybody to know about it. Now, if and when the Russian military does launch a missile, it will have to go up, won't it? It'll have to go up and then it'll have to come down. NOTAM is actually monitoring for the re-entry of a Russian space launch booster. Okay? The NOTAM message is for the re-entry of a Russian space launch booster. Isn't that interesting? Because we never get notified of re-entry of a Russian space launch booster unless it's gone out of control after a launch from the Russian Cosmodrome in Russia. Okay? I have not seen nor have I heard any information of a Russian space launch and its subsequent re-entry of their booster. We have not seen any information of that for several years now. There was a time a couple years ago when this happened and Russia lost control of the booster and it crashed down in the middle of the Pacific. Okay? That's not happening so far. So we are going to keep contact with our DoD contacts. We're also going to keep our air traffic control contacts up in force. We're also going to keep our eyes on the sky with radar as well. Okay? So we're going to keep you informed of what's going on as we go forward until a week from this Sunday, May 26th. Okay? That's when the Russian exercise is supposed to be completed. Okay? Now, again, the FAA, the DoD usually issue NOTAM messages when there is a threat to civilian air traffic control. Okay? All aircraft pilots do get these NOTAM messages from time to time. It's the FAA's way and the Department of Defense's way, their normal way to keep nations aware of what's going on and to support safe air and maritime activities. NORAD and US Northcom are also aware of what's going on, but they also do not offer any information as to what is happening. The Defense Department is also not putting out any more information than what I just gave you. Okay? That's what we have. Now, according to one U.S. Defense Department official that said they did not know which Russian rocket booster was involved. Okay? There was talk of a re-entry of a Russian booster. If Russia launched a Soyuz rocket from their cosmodrome over in Russia, they have had errant boosters, like I've said. But no one knows of any errant rocket booster. Okay? Allegedly, Russia had launched what they call a Soyuz 2.1B launch vehicle with the spacecraft on board. Okay? That's all we know. The Russians allegedly launched it from their Plesetsk, Plesetsk Cosmodrome in Russia on May 17th, yesterday. That's according to Russian media outlets, but that's all we have on it. Okay? That's it. Nobody is even talking. The FAA and the Defense Department have removed that NOTAM message. It's as if they don't want anybody to know what's going on. Okay? So that's what I have for you in terms of messages from the Defense Department and what is going on off the coast of San Diego. I know for a fact that many of you are interested in what's going on because it's been all over YouTube and other social media outlets. Now, something else I want to talk about, okay? And presently, Mark Wages is on the air right now. There is another solar storm. There is another solar storm. Allegedly, there is another CME that was launched from the sun. And NASA and other organizations have said there is an unforecasted strong solar storm going on. Yesterday and the day before, we updated you on the other solar storms that have happened. X-class flares, 15 of them. Now there's been another event off the northeast coast, the northeast side of the sun. Okay? Like we said yesterday, there was one other event yesterday off the northeast side of the sun. This is another event here. After we get off the air, go over to Mark Wages on YouTube, and he will have a complete update about what's going on. But again, another solar storm has hit the Earth with unforecasted strong solar energy, plasma radiation. And Mark Wages will have the information for you. With that said, we even have more information now about hurricanes and storms. Hurricane Heather put together a hurricane forecast for this hurricane season. Hurricane Heather says there's going to be 20 to 25 named storms. 20 to 25 named storms. 11 to 15 hurricanes. 5 to 7 major hurricanes with 3 to 5 major landfalls. Again, Hurricane Heather's forecast that I just got from her this afternoon said there's going to be at least 20 to 25 named storms with 11, 15 hurricanes and 5 to 7 major hurricanes with 3 to 5 major landfalls. Okay? I wanted to make sure you understood what's going on. Okay? Now, the United States Weather Service is saying that the U.S. could face record hurricane season this year. The new outlook for the Atlantic hurricane season is busier than previously expected. Even Hurricane Heather's forecast even puts that out. The new outlook for the Atlantic hurricane season is this. The 2024 hurricane season is likely to be one of the most active seasons on record. The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season will be far above average, and the Weather Service is saying there's going to be 25 named storms. 25 named storms. Hurricane Heather said that as well. Okay? The Weather Service has said there's going to be 115 named storm days. 115 named storms during, 115 days where we are going to see these heavy-duty storms. 115 named storm days. Okay? And 12 hurricanes. 12 hurricanes. Heather says there's going to be 15 hurricanes, with 5 to 7 of them being major hurricanes, and 3 to 5 major landfalls. Heather's done a good job. Given the information that we get from the National Weather Service, Hurricane Heather is spot on. And I want to thank her for that. Okay? I want to thank her for that. She's doing a great job here. She says she's been doing this a long time. I agree, she has. I've been watching her. Okay? She's saying a major hurricane is a Cat 3 or above. And everyone should also note that the Weather Service has now said that they have raised the hurricane strength level to Category 6. The previous hurricane strength level was Cat 5. They've raised it to a Cat 6 now, at over 185 miles per hour. Okay? Again, the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season will be far above average, with at least 23 named storms, 115 storm days, 11 hurricanes. Okay? That's what's going on. We appreciate it. Now, I've got my buddy Brokefish, who's also one of my best friends, and also he is a mod on this channel. He is saying that there is already wildfires in the West. There are. Okay? They are controlled burns. Wildfires, controlled burns going on in the West. Now, with that said, there are also wildfires going on in the western part of Canada. Now, why do I want to address this? It's like dredging up bad omens. Now, I don't want to dredge up anything bad. Far from it. But there is a YouTube influencer out there that's been putting out bad juju. Okay? He's been putting out a lot of bad juju. Now, I have not yet been saying anything about this man, other than I don't like him. I've never mentioned his name on my air yet. He put out information about a week ago that the wildfires in Canada were arson fires. I want to repeat this. There is absolutely no evidence of that. There is absolutely no evidence that there is arson wildfire in Western Canada. There is absolutely no truth to that. No evidence for it, and there is absolutely no truth to back it up. This YouTube influencer ought to have his channel taken down. Okay? This is one reason I do not want his name put up on my air or on my chat. This man is bad news. I used to look up to him. There were a heck of a lot of people looked up to him. But he is trash. He is trash. Okay? I'm just saying that. He is drug induced. He talks about using of marijuana and trafficking of marijuana. Okay? On his chat. Not just on his chat, but on his YouTube program. He puts out live broadcasts on YouTube and one other broadcast medium, and he keeps his live broadcasts up for 24 hours or so. As soon as he does this, he's also getting super chats. He's also getting donations from other people to support his program. Then as soon as he takes it off the air, takes his program off the air, he removes it from YouTube. He is broadcasting music while he's on the air as well, which is a violation of YouTube policy. But as soon as he takes it off YouTube, guys, what does he do? He goes back onto YouTube and says, "Oh, woe is me. YouTube took my program off the air." No, YouTube did not. YouTube didn't take him off the air. He himself took his program off the air. This man is a liar. This man is a liar. He's a drug user, in my opinion. In my opinion, he's a liar and he's a drug user, and you can quote me on that. It's my opinion. Okay? I don't like him. I don't like him at all. Period. I used to support him. Then, at one point, over 5 years ago, he said he was going to leave the air and not come back. Now he's back. He was only off the air several months. Now he's back. I have nothing good to say about him anymore. Okay? He's done things, in my opinion, that are below the belt. He has actually made statements against other YouTube influencers because he believes that they are interfering with his broadcasts. Those are not. He's interfering with his own broadcasts, plain and simple. Again, I have no respect for the man. Now, I don't like to talk like that, but I've just about had it with this man. I have. He's harmed other people, and I don't respect that at all. I want to make that perfectly clear. He's trash. He's trash. Now, I honestly did not think that I would be saying that. Okay? But I'm done with it. I urge all of you, and I think most of you know who I'm talking about. I urge all of you to avoid his channel. Giving him support of any kind is promoting what he's doing. So please don't go there. Brokefish is still in the chat saying that KCRA out of Sacramento, their helicopter is over the grass fire over near Sacramento. There's grass fire burning in South Sacramento area. Okay? He put up the link to that YouTube program. I have no problem with that. Okay? Linda Covington says, never badmouth anyone, God will take care of it. I agree. But I have been criticized for not doing something about it. And now I put it up on my air. I didn't name him, but I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. Okay? I have not personally listened to him, but I've had people send me snippets of his broadcasts. That's how I know what he's doing. Kenneth Oliver's here saying he only watches trusted preparation channels and ones that give only facts about the economy. And I agree. That's usually where I go as well. Now, folks, there have not been any major earthquakes at all, or very few earthquakes that we need to talk about. Yes, we've seen in the past 24 hours a couple 5.0, 5.2 earthquakes. We've seen that happening. Other than that, all we've had is basically 4.0, 4.3, 4.5, 4.7 moderate earthquakes. Heidi Petrick just gave us another $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Heidi. God bless you for that. Heidi Petrick says, then let's put money where it will do good. I agree. And thank you so much for helping us out. We really appreciate it. God bless you for that, Heidi. Heidi's a very dear friend of mine. She's been a friend of our channel for a very long time. Thank you so much, Heidi. I appreciate you all. We've also got another $25 donation from PayPal from Linda Covington. I want to thank her also for her donation to our program. It's greatly appreciated. Also from my friend and cousin, Dee Dee Howard. She and her husband also sent us a donation on PayPal. We really appreciate that. This is helping to keep our program on the air. God bless you for that. We really love and appreciate you. NCWQ News Explorer here says Ron is #1 in class. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Now, Kenneth Oliver says, my boss said 2 days ago that gold would go down up over $40 in one day. Trouble's coming fast. You're absolutely right. Our economy here in the United States and around the world is going to collapse. If the United States economy collapses, the entire world economy will also collapse. I've been told by reliable sources from friends of mine who work in the financial industry that we are headed to a financial meltdown worse than we've ever seen. Worse than the United States and the world has ever seen. So let's see what happens. On this program over the years, we've talked about bankruptcies and closing of major banks. Bank of America has closed branches. Wells Fargo has closed branches. Chase Manhattan has closed branches. Many other major banks around the world have closed up. We talked to you I think it was last year or the year before, I don't remember which, there's been so many of them, but banks closing their doors up in the San Francisco Bay Area. All over. Now it's worldwide and nationwide in the United States. Folks, it's happening. It's happening. Something beyond anything else before. Okay? Margarita Herrera, speak English in our chat only. Okay? Demon Catman took your chat down because it was in Spanish. We will not allow any other language be put here in the chat. Okay? You have to speak English, please. Linda Covington says YouTube super chats take 40% of YouTube donations to our program. It's actually about 48% of donations go from super chats right into YouTube's pockets. I only see upwards of 60% of YouTube super chats. But I appreciate all that you guys do for me. It means the world to me. Okay? I thank you for that. I really do thank you for that. It means a lot to me. Now, I'm checking something else real quick. I want to thank our mods here. You guys are doing a bang-up job. I appreciate all you guys are doing. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. We have the best moderators in YouTube history. Okay? EMA moderators are the best ever. Okay? I want to thank you for that. You guys do me proud, literally. You guys are awesome. Anyway, let's go on here. I told you that we would be talking about emergency preparedness tonight, and that's exactly where we're going here. Okay? We've talked a lot about earthquakes. Lately, we've been talking a lot about solar storms, CMEs. What happens when something bad happens? Should you shelter in place or should you bug out? Should we shelter in place or should we bug out? That's where I'm going to start tonight. Okay? Now, with that said, I wrote this article about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago even, but it's still very important in its content. Anyone who wants to be prepared for a crap hits the fan event needs to address these questions. Should you shelter in place or do you need to bug out? We've talked a lot about that. In the past years, we talked a lot about sheltering in place. What should you do when you want to shelter in place? What should you do prior to a shelter in place scenario? So you and your pets and children and yourself will know what you want to do if you have to shelter in place. Tonight, I'm going to address the implications of a possible shelter in place scenario or a bug out scenario. Okay? There is no easy answer to this question because it actually depends on your circumstances and the nature and severity of the crap hits the oscillator scenario, if you know what I mean. Heidi Petrick is asking, Ron, would you also cover credit unions? Okay, let me stop with this bug out or shelter in place scenario real quick. I have already addressed this credit union situation. What have I said? I have asked everyone if they can. Okay? Yes, I understand some people can't get out of their banks. They can't get out of their banks because they can't go anywhere to do it. They can't make any changes in their financial situation, or maybe they don't even have any money in the bank and the only money they have is in their home. That's not a good situation either. Because then what you're doing is you're giving yourself a enema, allowing bad people to possibly attack you in your home and taking everything away from you. You don't want to do that. Yes, I am already asking everybody to put away some kind of cash every month for a crap hits the fan scenario. But if you have the possibility, get out of the major banks. Get your money out of the major banks. Put it in credit unions. Put your money in community credit unions. Your money is a lot safer in credit unions than it is in Wells Fargo, the wonderful American bank that is actually headquartered in Italy. Did you know that? Did you know that that wonderful American bank that everybody's been using for eons is actually headquartered in Italy? Yeah. It's amazing. But get your money out of the major banks. Try not to do any banking at all with the major banks. What happens when the major bank goes under? And a lot of them are closing their doors. That money that you have in their bank could be locked up, and you will not have access to it. We've seen this happen before. We've seen this happen before with other banks. Take your money out when you can and put it in a credit union. You can write a check to the credit union from your bank, and that money that you have in that bank will go over to the credit union. Then you can go over to your bank and close it down once that money has been deposited in your credit union. Give it a day or two. Only leave like $1 or $2 left in your bank. That way, when you go over to your bank, you can take the money out of your bank, and that's it. You're no longer affiliated with your bank. I personally did that a few months ago with my Chase Manhattan account. I closed the account down. I put my money in a local credit union. That's what I've been talking to everybody about doing. I never do or ask anybody to do something that I won't do, and I've done that. Okay? Charlie says he says that the Navy Federal Credit Unions changed over to complete digital. That's right. Many of the banking institutions around the world, including those in the United States, now have switched to digital currency. Switch to digital currency. Yes, you can still get paper money from those institutions, but for the most part, it's all digital. We've been seeing this happen. We've been seeing this happen. Now, if we have a grid down situation with no electricity, that means the ATMs won't be functioning. If you can't get your money out from the ATMs, what's going to happen? Why have I been telling everybody to take as much cash as you can every month and put it in a bag in your emergency preparedness kit? Put it in one of those sealed plastic envelopes that we've been talking about, one of those gallon baggies that you put food in. In this case, put your cash in there. Every month or every week, put your leftover cash in that bag, so that when the time comes and you have no cash available because there's a grid down situation, you have cash at home. You have some cash to be able to function, to buy milk or what other necessities you might need. We've been talking about it. Okay? Delete says he no longer has any funds tied to the stock market. That's a good thing too. About 5 years ago, I made a statement that I had a question from someone that asked me if they should have money in the stock market. I said this, I gave you my statement then, and I'll say it again. Don't invest anything that you can't afford to lose. Don't put any money anywhere that you can't afford to lose. Right now, I'm not advising anybody to have any money in the stock market. When the banks crash, not just here, but all over the world, you're not going to be able to get any money. You won't. There won't be any money available. Now, I live on Social Security. I live on donations from all of you that help me and my wife keep this program on the air. We have done our most that we can do to put any extra money that we have away in our emergency preparedness kit, knowing that a crap hits the fan scenario is coming. I'm asking all of you to do the same. But if you have it all possible, get your money out of the banks and put it in a credit union. That way your money is going to be more viable there than in a major bank. Because the major bank is going to close. And then you're screwed. Okay? Cowboy Roy Rogers is here in the chat, which I greatly appreciate. He says most stores can't sell anything without electricity. What happened back in 2010? I was in San Diego doing a disaster drill, and it was August. I was there doing a disaster drill in April, and I was there in August. A power worker in Arizona cut a power cable in Arizona. It knocked out power to all of Southern California as well. All the way from Imperial County, California, through San Diego, California, and all the way up into LA. 4 days. 4 days, there was no power. Myself and my compatriots were fine. We were prepared. We were prepared because that's what we teach everybody, to be prepared. We had cash on us. Yes, we had plastic, but we also had cash on us. We were fine. Our hotels were already paid for. The money we had on hand was paying for our meals, and that's it. Folks, it happens. It happens, and it's going to continue to happen. All I'm telling you now, we're advising you now, is to get your money out of the banks and put away every dime that you can into your own piggy bank in your home. And put it in your emergency preparedness kit. That way you'll be ready for whatever happens. Okay? Delete says invest in self-sufficiency items such as canning supplies. I agree. Make sure you have emergency preparedness supplies in your home. I've told everyone for the past 5+ years to put away food in your pantry and to make you sure you have at least 6 months worth of food. Once you have 6 months worth of food, make sure you start working towards 1 year's supply of food. Once you reach a year's supply of food, you need to work for 2 years' supply of food. Now, yes, we've talked about freeze-dried food. Yes, we've talked about freeze-dried food in the past. I'm going to talk about it again, right here. Yes, I have 4 Patriots food. I have a couple other companies' food as well, but most of my freeze-dried food comes from 4 Patriots. This happens to be food for 72 hours. I've got several 72-hour food kits. I also have 3 months worth of food in my survival kits. My freeze-dried survival kits, I have now 3 months worth of food. I have at least 6 months worth of food in my pantry right now. My wife and I make sure that when we use any kind of food, we replace it. If we use a can of soup, the next time we go to the store, we replace that can of soup. We put the new can behind the older cans. That way we're always using the older food first. It's called rotating. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing this for a very long time. Okay? I'm advising you all to do the same. This is absolutely essential for your survival. Okay? Delete says their food dinner tonight was made 100% from home canned goods. Our dinner tonight was also from our food supply here in our house. My wife fixed us mushroom soup for dinner. No, it's not a cold winter night. It's not even cold outside. Actually, the temperature got up to about 75 degrees today. It's still pretty warm, and we're going to get storms any minute now. Okay? All that stormy weather that happened over in Texas and Louisiana into Arkansas has also made its way further east, and it's going north as well. Right now I'm looking out my office window and the clouds look very distressed, which means that storm is going to hit here sometime tonight. Folks, you have to be ready. The storms can knock out our power. The storms can do anything. But make sure you have a food supply. Food in your pantry, and possibly even survival food, as my wife and I have. It's going to save your life and the lives of your family. That's what's important. Okay? Very important. Now, Charlie says buy gold and silver now if you can. If you have the ability to. I agree with that. Glenn Beck would also tell you that. Okay? But what I'm going to tell you now is you need to get ready, because things are about to come loose. Charlie says the Houston power grid is gone. Over 800,000 people, I think it was, the total last night was 856,000 people were without power. 856,000 people were without power in the greater Houston area. Huge. That storm had high winds and lightning, knocking out all kinds of power, literally. It was worse than what happened in the winter a couple winters ago, when the winter storm knocked out power then. The frozen windmills, which couldn't even turn. In this case, the winds came through Texas, and those windmill farms were still operational, but they had winds clocked at 85 to 100 miles per hour in Texas. That's powerful. That's powerful. Charlie says now over 1 million people without power in Texas. That does not surprise me. Okay? Hurricane Heather says it was so unexpected in Houston. It was so unexpected. Nobody predicted it. What's going on? It's called weather modification. Weather modification. We've seen it happen before. Okay? It's sad. It's very sad. The weather that Houston, Arkansas, and Louisiana had last night into this morning has now moved east towards me. And like I said, I'm looking at it right now. Everybody here along the East Coast needs to be ready for what's going to happen. We're going to get hit with these storms, and they're going to be bad. Okay? It's called an SHTF situation. Okay? Now, there's no easy answer to the question on what you need to do, whether you're going to bug out or you're going to shelter in place. There's no easy answer. But only you can make that decision for you and your family. Rather than give you a single answer that might not be right in every situation, I'm going to give you the pros and cons as I see them. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of sheltering in place or bugging out, and how you should know what you should do, whether you're going to bug in, I'm not bug in, but shelter in place or bug out. Okay? The pros and cons of sheltering in place. Let's talk about that. Okay? The biggest benefit of sheltering in place is that you don't have to risk traveling anywhere, because you're going to be home. then you're exactly where you need to be when crap hits the fan. That means there's no risk of getting stuck in traffic or being attacked by anyone, either out on the road or anywhere else. And since this is where you're going to be sheltering in place, you're already going to have lots of supplies already stocked up to last you for a reasonably long time. The drawback to this is that sheltering in place is not sustainable. Sheltering in place is not sustainable. When you shelter in place, you're assuming that things will return to normal at some point, and that your supplies will last until that point. But what if, and this is a big if, what if things never get back to normal? What if things don't get back to normal? Then what are you going to do? Catherine Sigerson is saying in the chat she doesn't know exactly what she's learning right now. Catherine, I'm trying to spell it out. Should you shelter in place during a major event? Or if you can't stay home where you're at, are you going to have to bug out? And where are you going to bug out to? We've talked about this before as well. Where are you going to go? More people evacuating everywhere. More people, more vehicles evacuating people everywhere. It's been a crazy time. I totally agree. In Canada, folks, they have been undergoing immense pressure from their politicians. They've been putting immense pressure on their civilians all over the country. There is immense pressure here in the United States as well. What I'm trying to give you folks is a heads up. I'm trying to give you some information so you can make decisions on what you're going to do when something happens. Okay? As I've explained before, Linda Covington is also explaining it now in chat. If there is an electrical vehicle on the road, one of those EV or Tesla motor vehicles, it's not just Tesla out there. Chevy, GM, Chrysler, they all have them now. But those electrical vehicles are only going to take you so far. They can only go up to a maximum of about 200, 250 miles, and then you have to pull over and charge those. And yet there's not enough charging stations anywhere in this country or anywhere else to charge those vehicles. What happens then? You're stuck. You've got a vehicle that is no more than a paperweight on the road. What are you going to do? Okay? Don't get an EV vehicle. Stay away from them. One, they're more expensive than anybody ever deserves to have to pay for a car. Stay away from them. I don't give a flying rat's frosty keister what Governor Newsom in California says. He's full of crap. Along with Joe Biden, full of crap up to their ears. Internal combustion engines will get you further than anywhere else. Internal combustion engines in cars will get you further than any other car available. Plain and simple. That is exactly why we've been talking to you about keeping your gas tanks full. Yes, gas is off the walls right now. Newsom this week raised gas prices by the swipe of his pen. Newsom in California raised gas prices by 50 cents per gallon in California. Why? Because he's trying to pat the green people on the back. Oh, we're going to have green vehicles. Oh, we're going to stay away from the internal combustion engines. We're going to outlaw gas. Yes, that's what they're trying to do. Newsom said by 2035 he does not want to see any gas-powered vehicles on the roads at all. He doesn't want to see any trucks on the roads that are anything other than electrical. Well, guess what, Newscom? You're full of crap as well. Number one, you cannot buy a semi-truck right now that runs on batteries. Why? In order for a semi-truck to have the torque and the engine capacity it needs to pull those semi-trailers down the road, it would take a whole trailer worth of batteries to power that truck, to power that tractor. It's not possible. It's not practical. And it's entirely not financially feasible. So Newscom and that idiot in the White House right now are full of crap. Plain and simple. Don't vote for Joe Biden. Number two, Joe Biden this past year went to the GM plant in Detroit, promising them the world, promising them they would always have jobs. Well, guess what? This past week, General Motors has announced a layoff of all GM employees. GM has announced a layoff of GM employees. Those same people thought they'd have jobs, and now they're going to be out of work. Then what happens? The GM employees had a union that was supposed to be supporting them, the United Auto Workers Union. What happened there? The United Auto Workers Union was getting paid by each and every one of their employees that were working for GM or any other automotive vehicle business. The UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, is taking all that hard-earned money that those employees have now been fired or terminated. They've taken that money and they're investing it in what? Investing it in the media to provide coverage for voting for Biden in this November's election. They laid off all those people and took the money that those people had put into the United Auto Workers Union, and their UAW is now using that money to promote Joe Biden for president. What a crack. What a crock of crap. Incredible. If that's what happens when you join a union, I don't want to become a member of a union ever again. We got rid of a union at our police department about a year or so after I got there, because the union was crooked. We found out that our union that was supposed to be protecting our police officers in our department was actually getting paid off by the federal government. The union was getting paid by the federal government to keep us in tow. So we canned the union. And the union told us, oh, you guys can't can us, you have to keep us. The union found out otherwise. We canned that union. We started our own police officers association with attorneys to represent us. We kicked the union to the curb. Union people are evil. Union people are evil. Okay? I don't care for unions at all, especially for the unions that do this to their people. And that's what they do. Anyway, I'm sorry to get off on that tangent. I'm really sorry to get off on this tangent. I didn't mean to go there. Richard Smith has said that they have internet police for real in Canada. I agree. They're doing that here. They've got internet police trying to enforce the talk of the government. And guess what? I'm not complying right now. What you're hearing from me is not the type of talk that Joe Biden or any of his people want me to say. But I don't care. Okay? Let's get back to what I was talking about a minute ago. Sheltering in place or bugging out, going to some other place that you probably have only been to maybe once or twice. As I have asked you to do before, when you're writing your emergency preparedness plan, make sure you have 3 different bug out routes. 3 different routes you're going to take to go to the place where you need to be to get away from where you're at. Why? Because one street might have a blockade. It might be shut down by police or National Guard units. What I've been always saying since day one was for people to use alternate routes of travel. Stay on service streets. Stay away from roadblocks and very crowded highways. Stay on service streets until you can't anymore. Okay? Stay on service streets until you can't anymore. But have 3 different bug out routes. You have 3 different bug out routes. You also have 3 different bug out locations in case one location can't keep you there. One location might not be available anymore. It might be full up. You've got 2 other locations you could go to, right? That's why you need to have planned 3 different locations to go to and 3 routes to get there. Okay? Now, only you can make the decision where you're going to go or how you're going to get there. You can only make that decision how you're going to get there and decide why you're going to do that, why you're going to bug out. Okay? Now, if you're going to be bugging or sheltering in place, you're already going to have a lot of supplies stocked up, at least to last a reasonably long time. The only drawback to that is it is really not sustainable. When you decide to shelter in place, you're assuming that things will return to normal at some point, that your supplies will last until that point. But what if things never return to normal? What if things never return to normal where you will get your food and water? Or you'll be able to replace the supplies that you're using and your supplies start running out? What happens then? If your situation continues long enough, you also might have to deal with hordes of unprepared masses. Hordes of unprepared masses, your neighbors, your friends, and maybe even members of your extended family that may not have enough food, water, or other supplies themselves to get their lives straight. They're going to be coming knocking at your door and wanting you to answer your door. What happens then? If you allow one extended family member, what happens to those other hordes that are walking down your street expecting you to bail them out? They're going to come in your house, take your supplies that you have left, and what happens to you? Okay? Those people are going to be desperate to get what they want, what they may need, even if they have to break down your house or kill you to get it. That's it. What are the pros and cons of bugging out? First, there are 2 big benefits to bugging out. You're isolated from most people, and you'll be able to live a sustainable life for the foreseeable future. You may be able to plant a garden somewhere. You will have your food supply that you had at your home, you'll have it in your vehicle. You'll have your emergency preparedness kit we've talked about. You'll have your water that we've been talking about. And you'll be able to go someplace else to get away from the prying masses. Okay? And at least you probably will be able to live a sustainable lifestyle for the foreseeable future. And your extended family members may also be on board with what you're doing. And they may meet you out wherever you want to go. So you will have yourself, your family, and your extended family to help you with whatever you might need. If you bug out to a remote location, you might be able to grow your food, like I said. You'll be able to source your own water. And you'll be able to harvest the natural resources from the outdoors. However, there are some drawbacks to even bugging out. First, you need to be able to get to your bug out location safely. A good bug out location will need to be a good distance away from the city. But that means it'll take longer to get there, and more things can go wrong. The other problem you might have when you're going to bug out is that it is an extra expense that you might not be able to afford. Having a bug out location is basically like owning a second home, which many people can't afford. And many people can't even maintain it as well. Catherine Sigerson says, gas. You must have some kind of fuel in your vehicle to get you where you need to go. Okay? You need to think about that. Tolik says, can I have my oxygen? I don't know, can you? Can you? I think that's a rhetorical question. I think it's a troll. You're gone. You're gone. Just a second, guys. Anyway, let's go on here. We've been asking everybody to be prepared for a long time now. Putting away money in case you need to have it. Putting away money and keeping your gas tank full. Okay? You need to think about this. Catherine Sigerson says water as well. Absolutely. Okay? So a good bug out location is going to have to be a distance away from the city. So you won't have those trolls trying to get your money or trying to get your food or anything else that you put away. Okay? It's going to take a little bit longer to get there, and more things can go wrong. You might run out of gas unless you keep your tank full like we've been asking you to. Other problems you might have while bugging out is that it is an extra expense you might not be able to afford. Okay? If you simply can't afford a bug out location, then you're going to have to shelter in place. Still, given that, there's still other things you could do. There are other ways to buy a cheap property that most people can afford even without having a big income. See if you can afford a cheap bug out location. A place on a hill. A place in a forest away from everybody. That way you won't be noticed from the roadways. Okay? Think about it. Talk to people that you know. Go and try to make friends with somebody that you don't know. You don't have to tell them what you're doing, but that you just want to have a safe place to go to occasionally. Okay? See if they'll let you buy a piece of property, maybe 30 by 30 feet or less. If it's out in a remote area, it's not going to cost an arm and a leg. And you might be able to work something out with that property owner. Think about it. Think about it. See if you can afford an inexpensive bug out location. Now, how to make the right choice. Let's think about this. Now that we're clear on the pros and cons of each, either sheltering in place or bugging out, it should be easier to decide which is the right choice for certain crap hits the fan scenarios. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. You might not even have a choice. If the crap hits the fan event is a hurricane, a flood, or a fire, you're going to have to bug out whether you want to or not. You might not have a choice whether you're going to bug out or shelter in place. You might have to do it whether you want to or not. But now, let's just imagine something else. Okay? Let's imagine that you do have a choice here. What then? Okay? Let's just imagine you do have a choice. Quickly get informed about what happened. Quickly get informed as much information as you possibly can get about what scenario happened. Was it a fire? Was it a hurricane that's coming? Was it a flood that's coming? Bad weather causing heavy rain, causing flooding? Did a dam burst? Was it an electromagnetic pulse? A riot that went out of control? Have we seen riots recently that got out of control? All over the world. All over the world. France, Italy, England, Germany, Switzerland, all over the United States, all over Australia. These riots are pre-planned by the elites of society, and they are paying these rioters to do it. Okay? A pandemic. Guess what, folks? If you don't already know it, the elites are planning for a bird flu pandemic to lock us down again. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm not going to comply. And you can take that to the bank. You elites that might be seeing this program, you can take that to the bank. Me and my family are not going to comply, period. Now, find out what happens so you can make an informed decision on whether you're going to shelter in place or bug out. That way you'll get a good time frame that you're going to need to get out of Dodge. The biggest factor you're going to have, and the biggest factor that you're going to get confronted with, is time. Think about how long it will be before things get really bad. You might want to think about how long it will be before things get back to normal, if it ever will. Okay? Think about it. Delete says it could last, the lockdown could last for years. That's why I'm not going to comply. Here in North Carolina today, legislators here in North Carolina made a law. They signed it into law. There are enough legislators here in North Carolina to override a governor's veto. Guess what? The law here in North Carolina says that no one is allowed to wear a mask out in public. No one is allowed to wear a face covering in public. Here in North Carolina. Our legislators here don't care. They don't care what the government says. Look what happened the last time. Okay? Now, if this crap hits the fan scenario is not going to last that long, it probably is not worth the risk of traveling to your bug out location. If the event is not going to last a long time. For example, Will the riots eventually die down? That's a big question right now. Because the rioters don't want to die down. They took over a university library this week and they destroyed it. One of the representatives from the rioters said the reason they did it, they wanted to get attention. They wanted to get the attention of the public to let them know they were serious. Well, guess what? You riot and try to take over my house, I'm going to promise you one thing. Your riot won't last very long. Okay? I'm just telling you. Most police departments have now gotten ahead of this, and they will not comply with the rioters. The only institution that is complying with rioters right now is Harvard University. They have bowed to the left. Harvard University this week said they're bowing down and letting the rioters have their way. What a crap that is. Okay? If you think that your riots are going to simmer down eventually, so you might be able to safely shelter in place, but there's no recovery from an EMP attack. Maybe there probably will not be a recovery from a major flood. There might not be a recovery from a solar storm that takes out our grid. You might only have a choice to bug out, and it might be the best choice that there is. Consider what other people are doing in response to the crap hits the fan scenarios. Think about what other people are doing. Are they panicking? Are they also fleeing, clogging the roadways, causing accidents? Or are they waiting around in disbelief with their hands over their heads going, oh, I don't know what's going to happen? Think about it. Think about it. All these scenarios play right into their hands. Now, if those rioters are still waiting around to see what happens, you might have a good opportunity to bug out without much resistance. But if everyone else is fleeing, you could you could shelter in place for maybe a few days and wait the crowds out until the crowds disperse on the roadways before you have to bug out yourself. But you might not have a choice. Now, I can understand that some of you or most of you might not physically be able to bug out. But bugging out or sheltering in place is your only choice. In that case, you're going to need to stock up with even more supplies, or try to get your neighbors on board with what you're doing, with preparation considerations. So you can rely only on a small group of like-minded people for support. Now, we talked about going to a property, an inexpensive piece of property. How broke people can get a piece of land cheap. Owning land in a rural area is a great survival asset. It allows you to hunt for game. It allows you to grow your crops naturally. It might allow you to raise animals and get away from the unprepared masses in a crap hits the fan scenario. You might, when you bug out to this place, you might be able to put up a fence to help yourself in a defensible situation, to keep people off your property and away from you, and those things that you've done to help protect yourself and your family. The problem is some preppers don't think they have enough money to buy land. However, there are a few ways people can get land for cheap. If you thought going through a realtor was the only viable way to buy a piece of property, you might find these methods to be a little bit unorthodox. Still, they do work great if you're willing to put in the effort. In order to buy a piece of land for rock bottom prices, you're going to have to do a lot of work for yourself. Tax liens. Look for tax liens where you might be able to get the property for $1. You might be able to get the property for whatever tax liens are on the property. You won't have to pay full price. Okay? Not everyone who owns land actually wants that land. Some people have inherited property after a relative passed away, and the land is either a financial burden or a maintenance burden, and they want to get out from underneath it with whatever it takes. If they can't afford that property, chances are they haven't been paying their property taxes. When a property owner doesn't pay the taxes on their property, what happens? The government takes measures to get their money through other means. Tax liens. One of the first steps the government takes is to put a tax lien on the property. A tax lien gives the government legal claim to the property as a means to get paid back for the debt. The property owner has a period of time where they can pay the back taxes and get their property back. But if they still haven't paid up when the government gets a tax deed, the tax deed gives the property or the government legal ownership of the property. The government doesn't have much use for the property like this, does it? The banks don't have much use for the property. They want to offload the property to get whatever money they can. That might be one way to get property. Okay? What they're going to do is try to sell it to anyone who wants it so they can collect their money. This is good news for you, because the government or the bank might be willing to sell the property land for cheap, maybe even for less the taxes that are on the property. Say the taxes are $4,000 and the bank just wants to offload it. You come along and are willing to give them $400 or $500, and the bank is going to say, deliberate, and finally say, yeah, we'll take it. So you give them their $400 or $500, and you get that land for almost nothing. Okay? Now, tax liens are usually sold at auctions, with the starting price being the amount of back taxes that are owed. The downside to this is that you will be competing against other people, other bidders for that property. But not every property will have that much competition. If you go through enough actions, it's likely you're going to eventually find something that's desirable as a bug out location. And it will be cheap enough for your budget. Now, how do you find these tax liens on these properties? The easiest way is to contact the local government offices. Or they might be listed, the bank might have put listings up in the local paper or on the internet. Okay? They just want to offload those property. So they usually will have mailing lists or at least lists of property on the internet that they want to give away for little money. You might find a downloadable PDF, okay, with the local listings. If you're on a mailing list, you'll get updates when the properties become available. This makes the search easier on you because you don't have to do anything after signing up for the list to get on the mailing list. Foreclosed land, foreclosed homes in other areas. A foreclosure is similar to a tax lien, except it's done by a bank rather than the government. A foreclosure occurs when when a property owner takes out a loan to buy a home or property and hasn't been able to pay the bank back. The bank that issued the loan then reclaims the property to reclaim their investment. Banks prefer to sell these properties rather than hold on to them, which means Buyers can get some great deals on foreclosed properties. Think about that. The property owner has a period of time where they can continue paying off the loan and get their property back. But if they still don't pay what the bank wants, the bank will take the property. Something else you might do: make an offer. Make an offer to the property owner or to the bank. That is one method not a lot of people use because it requires a lot of work, but it can produce amazing results. Okay? Charlie's talking all banks will be down for at least 7 months to start up a quantum banking system. I've heard that too. There's a lot of stuff going on. Okay? Anyway, find an area. If you're going to bug out or have to bug out, find an area you'd like to retreat to in case crap hits the fan. Drive through the area and take notes of all the places that you might be interested in. Then look around. Find out if those places are run down or not even occupied. Then find out the living addresses of the property owners. This probably won't be listed any place special, so you're going to have to ask neighbors or friends in that area to see if they know anything. Once you have the property owner's contact information, write them a short letter explaining that you're interested in buying the property and make them a fair offer. Make them a fair offer. Okay? It works even better if you can pay it in full. If you have the money where you can pay it in full. Now, don't offer too little. Otherwise, they might get offended and refuse to sell to you, even if they would have been interested in selling to you before. You should be able to use these methods to find an inexpensive piece of land. However, nobody is giving land away for free. So you're going to need at least a little bit of money to start. Try to save your tax return. Try to save any money that you can and put it away. We've been talking about putting away money for a rainy day. Put it in your emergency preparedness kit. If you've been doing this for any length of time, you might already have enough money to put down on a piece of property. Think about it. Think about it. Delete, I hope you have a good evening. Thanks for being here. Delete says he has to run. Stay focused. Thanks so much. Please do the same and take care of yourself. Okay? Now, getting back to this property. If you still don't think you can buy the land, consider downsizing to a smaller piece of property. Even moving west. Don't get into California, Oregon, or Washington. If you're over there, move east to the eastern part of Washington, to the eastern part of Oregon, or further east into the Midwest, even into Idaho, Utah, Arizona, or Nevada. You're still going to get some inexpensive pieces of property. Don't do it in California. Get the heck out of California. Okay? Now, downsizing to a smaller piece of property or moving west. Property is cheaper in the west of the Mississippi. However, there are some properties in Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, North and South Carolina. There are still inexpensive pieces of property in these states. Don't put it out of mind. I've been looking for inexpensive pieces of property myself. Okay? I'm looking now. Now, make sure you're prepared to live off the grid if you have to, before you go through with the idea of bugging out. Now, I've written a blog many times. We've talked about this many times in the past. Okay? Once you get your property, there are some things you need to know if you're going to have to be off-grid. Make sure you start planting seeds right away so you have a reliable food source as soon as you possibly can get it. This is going to be to your benefit. Okay? This will be to your benefit. Do any of you have any questions for me? I know I've been talking about things literally all evening long. Yes, I made some comments about things you guys have said. I've answered some questions. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've said tonight? Catherine Sigerson said she'd be running now. I agree. My wife and I are looking now. Charlie says no GMO seeds. My wife and I got some no GMO seeds even last week. They're there. You can find them. They're there. Aubrey's talking about microgreens. I agree. Microgreens are a good thing. That's something you can consider. Something you should consider. Any other questions, guys? Linda Covington says heirloom seeds are hard to find. I agree, they are, but they're there. Charlie says burpee seeds. I agree. My wife and I got non-GMO burpee seeds the other day. We wanted some pumpkin seeds and a couple other things, and we found them. So you can find them. You just have to look. Catherine says she's going to plant the garden but can't predict the weather or an event. We started planting our garden about a month ago, once we knew that we were beyond any frost. We should have probably started planting in egg cartons here inside our house, but we didn't do that. Once we had signs that we were not going to have any more frost, we started putting seeds in the ground, and now we have seeds sprouting. Okay? We have a lot of things going. We have tomatoes, number one. We have onions. We have watermelon. We have squash. We have potatoes. Quite a few things are going on. Peas and beans. Catherine says she has a few things in the ground, but it's cold there. I understand that. I totally get that. Okay? But think about what you're going to need, and then do it. If you have to plant seeds inside your house right now, do it. At least you'll be a step ahead of anybody else or anything else that can happen. Okay? Start your seeds inside under a grow lamp. Or if you don't have a grow lamp, put them near a window so they can have sunlight. Okay, that works. That works. We have windows here in our office here. We have windows in the bedroom. We have windows in the kitchen, and we have windows in the front room. Yes, we can grow seeds indoors. You can do that. G. Meisner says she started her seeds inside under grow lamps, but no sun for a week. Her stuff looks bad now, struggling. But it can get better. Okay? Shelter those plants from chemtrails. I agree. You can put a sunshade over your patio or over the plants that you planted outside. That will protect those plants from chemtrails. You don't want to protect them necessarily where they won't have any sun. You want to make sure you can have some sun. But you need to protect those plants from chemtrails. Okay? You need to do that. Any other questions, guys? I know I've kept you for a very long time today, and I apologize. Okay? I apologize. I think we're now over 2 hours. I did not mean to do that. Okay? Diane says she started putting plants on her porch. That's a good idea. My wife and I got planter boxes made out of tarpaulin material, and they had dividers in each planter box in the tarp, and we put planting soil in each box in those tarpaulin planters, and now we have seeds growing all over the place. It's great. It's great. Charlie says all soil is missing magnesium. In some case it is. I just happen to find potting soil that has magnesium and everything, and the fertilizer built into it. You need to work on that as well. Kristen Cashin says, I appreciate all the great info. I appreciate you all being here. Rob 52 talks about victory gardens. Look up victory gardens on the internet, and then make sure you have one. Okay? You will be blessed by having one, I promise you. Folks, at the end of every program, we talk about things that are spiritual. I have a devotional I prepared for you tonight. It is one scripture, one verse in Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 6. And this goes along with everything we talked about tonight. Let no man deceive you with vain words. For because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Let no man deceive you with vain words. Because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the people, the children of disobedience. We need to obey God. We've been talking about this for a long time. Further here in Ephesians it says, for the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Reprove them. Folks, please do that. Protect yourselves. Protect yourselves. Okay? We've been talking about it for a long time. The Lord wants to bless each of us. The Lord wants to bless each of us, but He can only do so if we allow Him to do it. The Lord will bless us if we allow Him to do it. Following His commandments. Following His commandments and then doing what He wants us to do. Okay? Those things will bless your lives. I promise you. God loves you. God loves each and every one of us. May God bless you. Folks, if anything else happens tonight, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. I promise you that. Second, if anything happens tomorrow, we will be back on the air tomorrow if things happen. We try to take Saturdays off. But if things happen, we will be back on the air to talk about it as soon as the information becomes available. Sunday morning, we will be back on the air at 12 noon for a program that we've been calling Sunday School. Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Come Follow Me, the Savior Said starts at 12 noon Eastern Time. 11 a.m. Central Time. 10 a.m. Mountain Time. 9 a.m. Pacific. We would love to see you with our Come Follow Me Sunday School program. We have people all over the world that join us for Sunday School every Sunday. Please join us for Come Follow Me on Sunday. We would love to have you. We're going to be talking more about the Savior's love for each one of us. Now in closing, I ask God to bless you. He loves you. I love you. I truly do. or I would not even be doing this tonight. I care. I care. May God bless you. May God be with you until we meet again. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, mods, for being here and helping me out. Thank you all for being here. I love you so much. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.